cactus and succulent growers, welcome to Desert Plants of Avalon in the north of Ireland. And in today's video I'm going to be pricking out and transplanting some 1-year-old cactus seedlings. They're these little cuties here in these 2 little pots. And there's a bit of a story behind these cactus seedlings, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. Well, first of all, I sowed these seeds about a year ago, and they're seeds from my own plant. And the reason why I say plant, cactus plant, and not what type it is because I actually don't know where the seeds came from, what type of cactus. Last year, it was around the sort of early February time, and I was in my old polytunnel, and I was cleaning out stuff in there as I was sort of getting everything sort of prepared for the spring. And I found a little tiny seed pod. And when I say tiny, it was a dried up, hard seed pod. So seed pods can sort of shrink and go hard over time. Have no idea how long it's been there. The seed pod was actually open. There was seed already in it, and I harvested the seed. But I don't know which cactus it had came off. It's obviously come off one of my cactus plants and fell down the back of the table. And it could have even been there 2 or 3 years at the back of the table. At a guess, I would say, looking at the seed pod and also the seeds when I sowed them, it's possibly either Mammillaria, Echinopsis or Perodia, and that's where I get most of the seed pods from. And I thought, once the cactus seeds have germinated and grown, I should be able to recognise them. But looking at these, I still can't ID them now. And a lot of cactus seedlings often can look quite very different to the mature cactus when they're young. And Mammillaria, Perodia, Echinopsis seedlings, even Gymnocalcium seedlings and the like can all look pretty similar when they're very young. As I say, these are a year old. And I sowed the seeds. I put these 2 little containers in one baggie, and I only took them out of the baggie around the December, Christmassy time. And I have had to still water them, obviously, because they're still young, and they've grown so much to the point where they're growing over each other, as you can see here, and it's very difficult to water them. I normally like to hold back on transplanting cactus seedlings when they're very young. I usually like to wait till they're a little bit big, and that's because handling the root systems that are very, very delicate can be a bit tricky. So I wanted to wait till these were a little bit, at least probably twice the size of this little one here. But as they're growing all over each other, I have no choice. I have to transplant them, prick them out and transplant them. And there's a bit more space in this one here. There's also some that has clearly dried back from rot, as you can see. So I have to get these out, and I'm going to then separate them all and then pot them up. So I've got another seed tray, and the reason why I'm not going to be potting these up individually is they're still quite small, and even the smallest little pots I've got, the 5 centimetre pots, will be still too large for one of these little seedlings to go into. So I'm going to obviously just put them into a bigger seed tray here, give them more space, and I'm going to put the little holes in there to put them in. And then they should sort of be sorted for the spring to put a bit of a growth spurt, and hopefully then I should be able to ID them a bit better. And I've made up the cactus soil here. I potted these up in sort of seed sowing soil and a bit of sand when I planted these. But I've made a more traditional type of cactus soil of 3 equal parts of loam, which is John Innes number 2, mixed with grit and a bit of pumice as well in there. So it's very well draining, and it's dry soil as well. Because they're seedlings, when I do pop these up, I'm going to sort of keep them a little bit dry for about a week and then give them a wee bit of water, just to make sure that the roots are not going to be too disturbed too much when I pot these up. And normally with mature cacti, I do like to leave at least 10 days to 2 weeks before I will water them, even if I'm potting them up in the middle of summer. But because these are seedlings, and I have been watering these quite regularly, because they're just a year old now, then I can't go too long without watering these. But I think a week should be enough, depending on how much I have to disturb the root system. I have to separate them all, obviously. And before I do it, I just want to mention, if you want to know how to grow cactus from seed, this could be the best time to start it now, late winter, coming up to the early spring. Then do check out a video I have made on how to grow cacti from seed. And links to that video will be up above. And do go and watch it after this one. So then, let's get to pricking out and transplanting these little mystery cactus stunners. So first of all, I'm going to get these out of the pot, and I've got some little tweezers in case I need to separate them that way, but I think it's going to be easy enough to do. So squeezing the pot, turning them on the side. Wow, this is the thing when you have a lot of seedlings in the pot. I just sowed all these seeds. I should have probably spreaded them out more into a bit of a bigger container when I sowed them, and they've got a great root system. So this is going to be the tricky part, pulling these apart without doing as much damage to the seedlings as possible. So what I'm going to do here is just very carefully, loosen up. Yep, it's good. I use quite loose soil. Seed sowing soil, and I think I must have used pumice. I think I said I used just sand and seed soil, but I didn't. I must have used a bit of pumice. So coming away easy enough. Ah, that's going to be okay. That's the first little tiny one. As I say, I normally leave cactus seedlings a little bit longer before I would pot them up, but I have no choice. These are just growing into each other. Now this is a thing when you get twins like that growing. So I find that I just very loosely use my thumbs sometimes to pull them apart. And it's when you are separating cactus seedlings, you have no choice but to sort of disturb the root system a bit. So they're not shriveled or anything like that. I might leave it 2 weeks after I've potted these up, actually, before I water them. And it's best that I do that if I've had to disturb these root systems. But they look great. No signs of beasties or anything like that on the roots or the bodies. These are actually coming away quite easy. I like to use my thumb because unless you have long nails or false nails, then you're not going to cause any damage. They're putting away really easy, so happy days. So what I'm going to do is carry on taking all these apart. And as I say, if you're new to transplanting cactus seedlings, then as I mentioned, you're best to use your thumbs and just very gently rub the soil away. That one is a dead one, it's dried up, so that's going out. And I'm going to carry on then the dead one, pulling these carefully apart. You just want to very carefully tease them. Happy days. And I'm going to do this with both of these pots. I just want to show you this. I said I was going to show you when it was all done, but if you have this happen, this is quite normal when you sow cactus seeds and they've germinated, and after a year or so, a few months, you'll notice that they might all germinate, but you always get some that die back. And this is an example here. I use these tweezers then to pull out any dead ducks, as they say, and remove them, because no point in having them if they're dead. So the tweezers come in handy just to remove them. Woohoo, that's all these little sweeties all being pricked out. And aren't they just gorgeous? Now, looking at these, I said it could be Echinopsis mammillaria, which I definitely don't think they are now, looking at these close up. Or they're definitely not. I actually do think it could be a Labivia. And I do remember my lovely orange flowering Labivia hamacantha that a couple of years ago was blooming with gorgeous, gorgeous orange flowers, and strangely enough it formed a seed pod, and I remember going in to pick it and the seed pod had disappeared, and I was thinking, oh, something's come in here and took it. I even blamed mice or something. It just vanished. But that's actually the part of the table where I actually found the seed pod, so I've got a very good feeling it's possibly my orange flowering one. And if it is, that's quite strange, because I did a video on that a few weeks ago. potting it up again because it was looking a little bit worse for wear. So if it is that one, then this is going to be the one that's the most beautiful orange flowering. And I'm glad I've got tons of seedlings of it if that's the case. But again, I won't know 100% for sure until it has actually, these little cacti grow a bit more like the parent, and especially when they do flower. But I'm thinking it could be some type of Libivia variety, but time will tell. So that's them all picked out. Great little root systems on them. Happy days. And now I'm just going to put the soil into here, start making the holes and get putting them in. There we go, that's the soil all put in. So what I'm going to be doing there is just using the blunt end of this little spoon. You can also use a little dabber. And just making a few little holes. And I'm going to show you putting the first few in and then show you what it looks like when it's all done. Happy days. So what I might do is put the biggest at the front here and then working my way to the smallest. It doesn't really matter, but it's just going to look a bit more orderly. So I'm going to pick out the biggest ones first. There's that one. And this one. It's amazing how they're all sown at the same time, and yet it's so different in how their growth rates are. And by the way, any white powder on there, just show you, just to let you know, that's not millibugs, that's diatomaceous earth. When I got them out the baggies at Christmas, I sprinkled a bit of diatomaceous earth onto them because I do know that seedlings, I sown quite a few last year and I lost some. They seem to do well when they're in the baggies, and then when you take them out, they come down with spider mites and little things like that. These seem to have done okay, so I just like to dust with diatomaceous earth to be on the safe side. You can also use your finger as well. In fact, I'm going to use that as long as your hands are clean. You don't use if you've got oils on your hands or perfumes and things like that. I tend to love putting on perfume on my hands and lavender and all that, and then I'm dabbing holes. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. So make sure your hands are clean, and you can just dab in like that and then put this little sweetie pudding in like so, carefully, and just very carefully press it down. So I'm putting the bigger ones in first so I know how much space I've got, and then next one. And obviously I don't want to make the mistake I did when I sowed the seeds. I want to make sure that there's lots of space for these to grow, because they can stay then in this container for another year or so depending on how fast that they grow. This one has got a great root system. Some of them may probably be able to be potted on in a few months' time into their own little individual pots. So, cutie pies. I'll just show you the third one, and then I'll show you what they look like when they've all been done. But it's something so lovely to do all this. It's so cute. Oh, there's one that had died back, so I didn't see that one. Take that off. Make sure that it's all clean. Yep. That's in there. Sweetie puddings. Just gently tuck it in carefully so they're all supported. And if there's any exposed roots as well, you make sure that there's no exposed roots. You want to make sure the soil is completely covering them. Woohoo! That's all of these sweetie puddings all transplanted and put up into this bigger seed tray. So now they've got plenty of space to grow. As I said, they're still very small, and it's going to be wonderful to see what they turn out to be. So I've just labelled them. Can't say what they are obviously yet, thinking it's possibly now looking at it at Libivia, but sown February 2023. So these are just over a year old now, and little sweethearts. And if you want to know, as I mentioned, how to grow cactus from seed, you've never done it before, then do check out that video, and that'll be up above. And have you got seed you want to sow this year, guys? Or have you grown cactus from seed before? Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't done already, then don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Do check out all of the many other videos I have on my YouTube channel. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Desert Plants of Avalon. I want to wish you all a fantastic, cute, cactus powered day ahead. Sweetie puddings.